Welcome to the Healing Practice Podcast, a space for navigating the natural seasons of womanhood and personal growth. Hosted by Claire Cleaver, author, counsellor, and practitioner, this podcast explores the key stages of womanhood, from the first bloom of puberty, through fertility and birth, to the powerful transition of perimenopause and menopause. Drawing on years of experience supporting women and families, Claire shares practical insights and reflective tools designed to restore balance, release what's been held, and support emotional and physical well-being. This podcast is about listening, understanding, and walking your path with greater clarity and compassion. Wherever you are on your journey, you're welcome here.
Our podcast for today is Identity in the Shift. Who am I now? And so this relates to perimenopause and menopause. I wonder if you've looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, I don't recognize that woman anymore. Who is she? And that you may look at that reflection of yourself not necessarily with great affection, or maybe you're just puzzled by who she is. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Perimenopause and menopause are very much a topical subject at the moment, which is great because it never used to be. And I'm not even sure 10 years ago whether it was much spoken about, or 15 years ago, but certainly in the last 10 years ago, more and more women are asking about what is perimenopause, how is it affecting me, and how will my menopause be? And so this is a stage which tends to tag on to the end of matrescence. And matrescence is that wonderful long phase of mothering. And matrescence can drag on, dare I say, for some time, depending on how many children you have. And perimenopause tends to happen at the earliest when a woman's around 43. So generally it will happen around 45 or so, and there will be early signs of perimenopause. And there's even pre-perimenopause for some women as well. Menopause starts pretty much around 50. It can be something like 48, but it's generally around 50 to 52 or so. And all of those years are variable. And a lot of the common sentiments that you hear around both of those, particularly perimenopause, is that women get frightened. They get frightened of, oh my God, I've turned into a demon. I'm not nice to be around. I just want to snap everybody's head off. Get out of my way. And so these sorts of things that you might be very familiar with and be agog that you, the nice, regulated, calm, organized person, is just almost wanting to spit out expletives to your loved ones, especially. So there is an identity shift in the wind, very clearly. And often women get frightened by that because that is not how they usually see themselves. Some women will think they have to medicate themselves. Maybe there's something wrong, and then they might, from out of that guilt shaming, if you like, become down and even a bit depressed. So you can see how that can lead into, oh, I need to be diagnosed because I'm just not behaving correctly according to how I used to be. So there's a sense of not understanding the shift and what's going on. And so it's important to talk about this, to know that this is actually quite normal. All of these changes, these emotional changes, and there's all the physical changes. Okay, the joint pain, the brain fog, the sweating, which is more menopausal, and often they just drift into from perimenopause into menopause. Feeling fatigued, feeling nervously wrought, feeling like you're on the verge of a nervous breakdown, finding your work and your life overwhelming, finding your family overwhelming. So all of these symptoms actually, and there's a long list of them, they're actually quite common. And the good thing to know for women is because they are common, they are therefore naturally occurring symptoms. There is nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are simply experiencing a huge identity shift. And with that identity shift comes a hormonal shift, comes a physical shift, comes a cognitive shift, and a spiritual blossoming. This is the good part. There is a good part. The spiritual blossoming into who am I? When I look in the mirror, Who am I? Who is this woman? How has she become this way? And then we mostly look at what we have. If you have children, you look at your children. If you have a partner, you look at your partner. If you have a business or a job, you look at all of those things. You look at your assets, your talents, your skills, the things that you have. And that gives you a sense of, oh, fuel, a little bit of grounding. I've got this. And all of those things are important. But nonetheless, there is a part of you that's shifting out of that wonderful appreciation of what you have and wanting more. And that is often the disturbing part of perimenopause, when a woman suddenly realizes that what she has is not making her happy, satisfied, comfortable. She wants more, which is why some women might think that a dalliance, a little affair might, spark her up. But that is the wrong place to be looking. And men do the same because they also experience a change, a shift in their identity. And instead of looking internally, they look external. They look for some kind of distraction. And it's very tempting to do that, but that is not helping the work of your changing identity. So the more you know about it, the more you understand and see the symptoms that are affecting you, the more you can work with it. Is it HRT or some version of? If that works for you, of course, choose that as an option. But at the end of the day, taking extra estrogen, extra progesterone when your body is actually producing less, is your body's way of saying you don't need this as much anymore. But what you do need to do is to navigate the changes that you are going through. That is really a much more honest and more authentic way of treating this identity shift that you're going through. And sometimes it's defined as the second spring, which I like. The second spring, your first spring was as a girl. That's the first spring, when you come into early adolescence, puberty. And the second spring, when you're done with that now. Your ovaries don't need to make eggs and have babies. You're moving into the next phase of your life, the second spring. And I think that's a really good word to hold there. So when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, who is that woman? I'm going through a second spring. And as we all know with spring, it's incredibly unpredictable. Incredible. We have warm days. We have balmy days. We think it's going to be summer again. And then all of a sudden we had a blitz of cold weather and it's all frosty. It's like, what happened to the good weather? That's spring, up and down. And your second spring is no different. And so it comes back to when you look on that woman in the mirror anymore, it's, you're changing. You're changing. And to look at her with a sense of reverence might not be quite the right word, but if anyone's going to give you reverence, it might as well come from you. So look at her with appreciation and go, hey, you're doing a good job. Have a laugh at yourself in the kindest possible way. Not a mocking laugh, but a kindness about it. So I've got a few notes because I want to be sure that I'm offering something useful for you. And so one of the notes is about a jaw and neck release. And there are some wonderful videos out there, and primarily Asian women, because Asian women age so well. And so they often do facial yoga. And one of them is just this very simple one, because we get tight in our jaws because we're holding it all together. So there was a grimness, a hardness, and a locked-in holding that's going on in our jaw. And there are all sorts of things you can do. So just turn to the side, but you open your mouth wide, just wide, like that. But what you do as well is you stick your tongue out. I had a friend and we used to do facial yoga at a retreat we went to. Hilarious. We would do it in front of each other and laugh in between poses. This is just one of them. Here it goes. Open your mouth. Ready? And you stick it out for about, that felt good, for a few seconds, 3 or 5. And I think you can even move your tongue back and forth. But that's just an easy one to break the tension that's in your jaw. It's so obvious, isn't it? Open your mouth, stretch your jaw. It's as simple as that. So try that. And then the neck is Just moving your neck around, shoulders down, neck around. So some people, this kind of thing is easy and nice, but really it's because we compress our neck into this stooped position. And really what you want to do is the opposite, is you want to lengthen your neck, just like the jaw. Closed jaw, open jaw. Curved neck, straight neck. So just think of it as a logical expansion to the opposite of what you're doing. That's probably the easiest way to suggest those things to you. And as we come to a close, one of the most important things that I cannot reiterate over and over is the power of saying no. The power of saying no. Because every time you say no to others, guess what? You're saying yes to you. And that is so vital and enriching. Just me saying that now, it feels so good. There is a space in here. You create a space in your heart which just opens up to you receiving. And from that place of you receiving you have more to give out. So that is the power of saying no. Not, oh, yes, I can do that. Oh, yeah. Oh, what do you need? Oh, yeah, no problem, no problem. As a mother, we are conditioned to say yes. So listen to yourself, say yes, and then decide to say, I think I'm going to say no for a while and see how that goes. And I think you'll discover practice makes perfect. Saying no, 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 not even maybe, but just no, not today. Resist the urge to say, but maybe tomorrow, not today. Try not to soften it, just no. It's always so much better when you say it with a smile. No. People don't know where to go with that because you haven't been rude or mean or unkind. You've simply said no. So I hope that it's been helpful for you, the power of saying no, and that when you look at that woman in the mirror, that changing identity, that you're able to go, gosh, you're pretty good up there, to validate yourself and just, yes, enjoy the changing shift of your moods and to accept them with, dare I say, kindness and good old appreciation yet again. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the Healing Practice podcast with Claire Cleaver. If today's episode resonated, you're invited to continue the journey with Claire beyond the podcast. You'll find books, guided resources, workshops, and opportunities to work with Claire one-to-one at thehealingpractice.com.au. Whether you're seeking support, understanding, or a deeper connection to the season of life you're in, there's space there to explore at your own pace. Until next time, trust your body's wisdom, honour where you are, and move gently through the season you're living.